All right. Hello, everybody. I've already been talking, but I'd like to formally introduce myself. All of you know me. I'm Tracy Higginbotham, and if today was yesterday, you would not be seeing me because the sun was coming in so brightly, which was fantastic, that I had to keep moving in order for people on the Zoom call to see me. So you're blessed with darkness today, so you can see me. But I just want to thank you so much for joining this call. Really excited to see a couple women I haven't seen in a little bit, Kelly and Jane. So welcome, and thank you for deciding to be here. And this topic is, I think, really interesting. Lekia joined our group, thanks from a sister here on the call, Laura Thorne, sponsored Lekia to have a membership. And Lekia and I got talking about her app and what she does, and I knew she would be a fantastic presenter. I'm going to read her bio to you just before she speaks so that you can really see how much extensive background that she has in the field. But as a feminist, and of course with the election just kind of being completed, don't know where we stand, being concerned, as you all know, about equality and diversity. And I loved her Powerful Voices app because it helps us who feel like we're activists and want to reach out to the government to be able to have a way to do that. And she will explain that a little bit more. But the feminist side of me loved her app for that purpose as well. And then we thought, you know what? I've never thought of having an app for my business or for any of my non-for-profit stuff that I do. So what is it like? Should we have one? We don't get a lot of technical training unless we're kind of in the field. And so I thought that this would be an excellent program to just kind of help us think if this is something that we want to develop for our own business or for any of our own community connections that we have. So as always, I want to educate you. I also want to be able to inspire you. And so I think we're going to have an excellent program today. Just to give you a quick review of what we're doing, the Zoom call, I'm almost done speaking. And then we'll have each one of you go around and introduce yourselves. We have more people today in a full program. So, you know, a quick who you are, your business name, and maybe where you're from or a line about your company. We'll save kind of the more networking and questions to the end of Lekia's program. She's going to speak from like for about 30 to 40 minutes, depending on how long she wants to go. And then we'll have time for questions and answers. I'm hoping around 1:10 we'll be done with that. And I'm going to have both Barb and Jody Brown talk a little bit about their program, which is next week. And I'll wrap up so that you can get out of here at 1:30 and get lunch or do something else that you want to do. So at this time, I'm going to turn it over. I'll just, I guess, call your name. I'll go around my little Brady Bunch square here and introduce yourselves. You should have received the sales contact list this morning. Around 10 o'clock, Jane Coddington is missing from that. She just missed the deadline. It wasn't her fault. I wanted to make sure to get it out to you in time. So I told Jane to put in the chat box her contact information so that you have it. And then I can update it as well and resend a new contact list. But I hope that as we're going into the holiday season and into 2021, when you need different services or products for your business, that you will remember these women on the call and share their names with other women as well to do virtual marketing and help, because we could always use other people talking about our businesses like Laura did for Lekia, or I would have maybe never met Lekia. So that's how that works. So let's go around and introduce ourselves. I'll mark you off. Why don't we start with, I'm just going to go from the top to the bottom. So Barb, why don't you go? Can you? Yeah, perfect.
Okay, sure. Hi, I'm Barb Klein from Inspired Possibility, helping women come home to themselves and make themselves a priority, primarily through taking on a practice of true self-care, which we will talk about more. And I am also the author of 111 Invitations, Step into the Full Richness of Life.
And what's cool today is it's 11/11 2020. So when I think of 11/11, I think of Barb, and so I just sent her something I got in the through email about today being this really fantastic, positive day. So just have that energy with you as well as we're all gathered together. And we were supposed to have exactly 11 women on this call, so I think that would have been a really cool thing. We could have gone with 20, but we're going with 11, which is fine. So Laura, why don't you go?
Thank you, Tracy, and super excited to have Lekia here. This is kind of what I envisioned when you two met, so this is great. Lekia, glad to see you here today. Yeah, I'm a business consultant and a photographer and a career coach, and I really focus in all of those areas on the how, strategy, and how to do things, helping people see their vision and then put the how to into place. So, yeah, that's it. And I'm a Women Ties member. And
and you have a great program that's coming up that I took part of. Did you fill all your seats?
I have one left. So the Strategy Design Lab is for small business owners who want to know the insider secrets of what big companies do for strategy, and not just how to create a piece of paper strategic plan, but how to think and operate strategically. How to navigate 1 week I'm open, next week I'm closed. And yeah, so there's a workshop starting next week. It's 6 hours, so 2 hours Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And the next group of people are amazing. Some of them have been on these calls before, including Tracy. And yeah, so there's one spot open for that if anyone is interested in getting, it's really, I mean, it's about getting control of the business.
That's excellent.
Thank you, Tracy.
It's really lingered in my thinking.
Here now?
Yeah. It's lingered in my thinking, so it was well worth the money and the investment and the time. So thank you, Laura.
Thank you.
Okay, Kelly White, you want to join us?
Hi, everyone. My name is Kelly White. My business is Illume Projects. I'm a Women Ties member from Ithaca, and I'm coming up on celebrating 10 years as a consultant. It'll be 10 years next year. My areas are project management and process improvement for nonprofit organizations and small business. So glad to be here today and meeting you all.
Thank you, Kelly, for joining. Jane, you're next on my square.
All right. Good to be here. I'm currently not a member, but will be again soon, so never fear. So I'm in Norwich, New York, which is between Binghamton and Utica on Route 12. And so kind of right in the center of the state. I am an industrial organizational psychologist, so psychologist who works with businesses. And I am a certified executive coach. Mostly I do coaching with some training, leadership development, and strategic planning. But mostly I coach individuals, and I've discovered I have a passion for coaching teams. And that's something that I've started in the last couple of years, and it's really fun. I am also the lead faculty for Walden University's coaching programs. So certificate, master's, PhD, and you can go through any of those and get eligible to take the BCC exam. So that's something new I've been doing since I've been with you people. And so that's where I'm at right now, and I'm planning to add a new dimension to my coaching services coming up by the end of the year, early 2021. So I'll share that when it's ready to launch.
Awesome. Thank you for joining us today.
Nice to meet everybody.
Jackie, my dear, you're next. Uh-oh, let's hope we get you to unmute this time. Can you unmute yourself? Oh.
Okay.
Yes. Yep.
Okay, great. So I'm Jackie Michael. I have had a long career as a psychotherapist and also executive coach. And at this point in my life, I have decided that the way that I can make the most far-reaching impact on a vision I have for a just and sustainable future is through kids and parents. And so I've become an author, and my book is Hooray for Parenting. It's on Amazon, and it's really been an inspiration both to myself to do this work and to so many parents that I've already connected with. And my website now is gratitudeleads.com.
Oh, and I see that Barb said she bought 2 copies for family members. I did the same thing. This is what we've been encouraging. We had a book promotion event, and I really encourage everyone to buy 3 books from different women or 3 of the same book from women on the call. And so thank you, Barb, for following through on that. I ordered 3, and I have 1 more that I need to buy from somebody so that I have everybody's books. So thank you.
Thank you.
It's the easiest way that we can help women, especially during the holiday season, is to buy their products and services. So thank you, Jackie.
Yeah, thank you, Tracy.
Jill?
Hi, everybody. My name is Jill Bates, and I am in Rochester, New York. I am a Women Ties member, and I'm a real estate agent. So we've been pretty busy. I am a buyer's agent, but I also am always looking for sellers for our team. And a couple of things. I know that some of you probably have an agent that you adore, and I'm hoping that's how my clients feel about me. But if you don't, here I am. And if you are out of the area and you need questions answered, here I am. But something interesting I learned this week listening to a podcast was, this is basically for buyers, home buyers. You live in the payments, not in the price of the house. And with interest rates so low, sometimes you're able to, like now, afford a little bit more, a little bit higher price house. And then the other interesting thing I learned that I thought was good for buyers was you live in the floor plan, not the square footage. So many people are all worked up about, oh my gosh, it's only 1,200 square feet or 1,100 square feet. But if it works for you, if the floor plan works for you, then you're all set. So anyways, that's a little bit of real estate info. And you know how to get in touch with me, Jill Bates, Rochester, New York.
Thank you, Jill. We're going to keep going to Rochester over here to my other side, and that's Kim Pandina.
Okay, do we have volume?
Yes, Kim, we do.
Sweet. Woo! When we have technical issues, you never know when they're going to crop back up.
I know.
Good afternoon, everybody. Kim Pandina, Pandaware, jewelry designer and lapidary, which means I cut the stone in this beautiful piece and then I designed and built the setting around it. I love what it is I do. And I make people feel special. So thank you, Tracy. One of the people from the book group stepped up and placed a jewelry order. It was really nice. So
I get goosebumps when that happens. I literally get goosebumps.
And I'm just happy. I've been connecting people in the past week. So if anybody needs help reaching someone in a particular field that isn't someone in Women Ties, my LinkedIn connection info is in the chat. And I'm a little behind. I'm just waiting for some clients to pay me to do monetary things. So been with Women Ties for over 5 years and got to get in there and make a payment so I'm current again. But you know, the downside to being self-employed, when the clients don't pay, you don't have money in the bank account. So the good news is I got off credit cards. How's that, ladies?
That's good.
So when there's no money in the bank, there's no money in the bank.
That's okay. We're happy to float members a month or two. So
very happy to be here. And I love the breadth of speakers that you get, Tracy. It's amazing.
Thank you so
much.
much.
There's no other group that has just such a diverse amount of topics that you do.
Yeah, thank you so much, my friend. All right, we'll go to our last guest here. Jody, you are on.
Thank you very much. My name is Jody Brown. I'm in Seneca Falls. My company is Holy Education, which is a little play on the words heal, whole, holy, which I discovered a while back, all come from the same root word. And my mission in life is to empower people to become their best selves by nourishing their body, mind, and spirit. I do various health and wellness things. Right now, I'm working on an online course called Maintaining Emotional Wellness During the Pandemic, which I'm hoping to launch in January. So That's my latest project. I'm also a ULC ordained minister, and I officiate at weddings. So if you know anybody who needs a wedding officiant, I'm available, mask and all.
When I was in New York City on Saturday when the news broke, we went down to visit our sons, and I said, didn't anybody buy me a happy birthday mask? And I don't know if anybody's seen one, but I would think if anybody wants to construct one, or I'm the birthday girl or something, but no, I had to wear just my blue one for the day. So just another idea. You never know where ideas creep up. So thank you, Jody, for being on. So I'm going to go ahead. I want to read Lekia's part of her bio, so you have a little bit more information about her, and then I'm going to turn it over to her to share her screen and speak. And so here we go. Lekia K. Hill, founder of Powerful Voices app, a nonpartisan tech-based civic ecosystem that connects constituents with their elected officials from their mobile devices and surveys end users to improve the social and economic welfare in underserved communities. Lekia is a civic enthusiast with an extensive background in the areas of anti-racism, DEI training and development, community engagement, and government relations. She is a lifelong humanitarian, I love that description, and has a special interest in human rights, civic evolution, and the welfare of Black Americans in disadvantaged communities. Lekia holds over 15 years experience in sales and marketing for Fortune 500 companies such as Wachovia, I think I said that right, JP Morgan Chase, and Clear Channel. In 2010, she discovered her purpose and transitioned into the fields of organizing and community and government relations. Currently, she is the Community Outreach and Diversity Coordinator for Huber Brewer Construction, where she manages engagement and oversees MWBE utilization for company projects. I turn it over to our wonderful speaker.
Great, thank you so much for that introduction, Tracy. Hello, ladies, so happy to see you today. I don't know if anyone is new from the original registration, but for those who had pre-registered for the first time we were supposed to meet, I believe you received the email, and hopefully you saw my video of why I couldn't attend. I had an emergency. My blood pressure had skyrocketed apparently to 211 over 102, and I passed out. So, and I wasn't aware of it. They say that high blood pressure is the silent killer, and I had uncontrolled blood pressure, but I'm glad that happened in some way, because we discovered some other things that were going on with me that I can get under control and get the best treatment to be happy and healthy to be here today and talk to you. And I say that because before we start, I think self-care is so important, and I hear a lot. I see that there's quite a bit of executive coaches here, and people who are managing the wellness and well-being of other women as well on here. So, you know, we have to take care of ourselves first before we could help anyone else, right? And I know sometimes we need a reminder, you know, go-getters and ambitious women, we need that reminder, and I just want to make sure I put that out there for you first. Today, I had intended to give you a presentation about my app, the Powerful Voices app, and then talk to you a little bit about why I started the app, and then the benefits of having one. And then after that, I figured we can kind of I like to engage and, you know, talk back and forth with people. And I also ask questions. So I figured since it's such a small group, we can kind of dig a little deeper into each other's ventures and see if there's an app, or what kind of, if there's an app for you in your business process. How does that sound? And if you can, just give me like a thumbs up. Wonderful. All right, so I'm going to share my screen for my presentation. So I say allow me to reintroduce myself because one, I came here as an organizer and an activist, and then I sort of accidentally fell into tech, you know, so I'm no expert. However, that's the whole point. You know, you don't need to be an expert in tech to have an app. You just need to to pretty much know your market and know your business and your venture and see if the app is beneficial for you and if it works best for not you, but more so for your customers. So this is my family. I'm a single mom here in Syracuse. I moved here in 2013. No family, no friends. I came here to organize around the State Education Foundation aid for the city of Syracuse and some rural communities, underserved rural communities. So I started organizing all these buses. I got to know Syracuse a little more, but more importantly, the children. And that's really what this is about. I wanted to frame it so that you understand that this is more so for our future, because I see a benefit with tech and the way things are going now in our political culture and our civic climate, that our youth really are going to be the solutions to some of the issues that our forefathers have created for us in this country. I have more faith in them than I do in adults, to be honest with you. I did racism dialogues with schools across central New York, from rural communities, suburban communities, and city schools. And this is where this idea, this concept kind of started, listening to these young people from diverse cultures and backgrounds talk to each other, not about their social and economic status, but also their, cognitive ideas and thoughts and their outlook and perception on life and what it means. And I noticed and realized that there was such a big disconnect from what their parents or their grandparents were thinking and feeling. And that's where the hope really truly began. And I started to think, well, I know that policy literally impacts our entire lives here. It governs our whole life. How do we get these kids engaged and involved to bring some of those ideas and the way they connect with each other into that spectrum by motivating and empowering them possibly to be involved in civics and politics later down the line? But you'll see what I mean by that in a few seconds. So yeah, I did all this work, and in 2016, Elton Sterling and Philando Castile were brutally murdered, and it was caught on camera by police officers in Louisiana. And the whole country went crazy again. Sort of sounds familiar, right? Like with George Floyd. And then you started hearing all these national call to actions. Call your lawmaker, call your lawmaker, call your legislator. And I knew that most people did not know who their lawmakers were, let alone how to reach out to them. In addition to that, from my work with education and fair elections and all these different like social and economic policies that I had lobbied for and organized for across the state, I also knew that there were not only Black and brown people that didn't know who their legislators were and how to connect with them, but pretty much most constituents didn't in the communities that I visited. So I said, we can kill two birds with one stone. How about I create an app that makes it easier for those who want to engage and be involved, or to respond to national call to actions or local call to actions, to reach out to their lawmakers. And then we birthed the Powerful Voices app. The vision of the Powerful Voices app has grown since then into creating a whole civic ecosystem. Currently, we do not have a civic ecosystem in a tech space. We have them through other mobile applications and social sites like Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, and some that are owned by our own government, but we don't have one that's owned by the people that only focuses on the work. So for example, like Facebook and Twitter, you pretty much are engaging with your own opinions and your ideas, and you're connecting with family. You're doing a whole bunch of stuff, but you're also able to do your civic duty as well. But what about a space that only says, hey, I'm just here to do the work and to do my part. I don't really care about opinions. I just want to connect with other people that feel and think the same about as I do around issues that I care about most, and be able to organize and connect with my lawmakers around those issues, the end, sort of. So we wanted to increase civic leadership, because civic leadership, particularly in high need and urban and rural communities, were pretty low, and voter turnout was really low, mostly in high need urban areas across the state of New York, based on my research. And then I said, well, you know, people need to know how to engage, and they need to know to engage. Why don't we create a civic education component to it, and also create a civic repository for resources for constituents, no matter where they are, where they can just go to the application and kind of put in the issue they'd like to work on, and then get all these ideas on how to organize around that. This is truly creating access for all people, regardless of their socioeconomic background and their race. So the tool to do all of this is now the Powerful Voices app. And how it currently works right now is you put in your mobile address with your zip code, and it pulls all your legislators from the federal, state to local level. I'm currently in fundraising phase now, so that I can pull more data from the API, so that for towns and villages to be able to see also who their lawmakers are. Right now, if you live in the city of Syracuse, and depending on which state you're in, it may pull your city council, your city government, but for towns and villages, we need to do a little more coding and work on that. But as you can see here, you get their phone, website, and social media sites if they have them. Also, we have voting information. We're simply connected for New York State right now, connected to the New York State site, where people can literally check their voter status, their polling place, so that, you know, during election season, which I've been getting emails that this actually worked this year. People didn't know where they need new registered voters didn't know where to go when it was time for them to go vote on November 3rd or do early voting. And they put they opened my Powerful Voices app, and then they were able to find where their polling place was, which was really great. And they didn't have to call all over the place. They just knew to go to this hub and figure out that information. You could also register to vote. Anyone across the country can register to vote as long as they have a state ID from the phone, from the app as well. At the bottom on the left-hand side, you see where it says contact survey. Well, this is something new. So now we are working with the CNY Community Foundation, who has a needs assessment. The needs assessment is to help nonprofit organizations throughout central New York talk to each other and share resources for their clients, right? So before they go to, and it's also to help funders as well with strategic planning. So instead of having a board and a committee only decide what the needs are for the organization for their clients or few prospective clients, now through the needs assessment, we can target a specific area by zip code, push the application in that area for the survey, and then take the data responses and feed them to those nonprofits that are part of this learning community right now through the CNY Foundation, and see what those needs truly are, and be able to provide services that actually make an impact and that will make a difference and a change, which is great. Later down the line, we will have the ability to offer this feature and this service to other organizations or groups. But for now, we're doing it with the CNY Foundation as a beta testing model, and also just for ourselves, so that we can kind of like see how it works and what are the best ways to operate the survey and the application. This is what we're looking to add right now, and it looks like it's about to happen. So good news, if I would have done this presentation a couple of weeks ago, I wouldn't be able to say that it looks like we might be getting some funding to add some of these additional tools, which is great. And I'm sure some of you, especially as business owners, would appreciate. We're going to add a legislation feed. So you'll be able to see bills that your lawmakers are sponsoring or co-sponsoring. And there's a software out there that will break a 400 piece of legislation, pages of legislation, and literally break it down into like 5 sentences so that you can understand what in the world it means, which is fantastic, right? So if you see a piece of legislation in there around education or police reform or housing, whatever your issue is, you can literally, when you make your phone call to your congressperson or your state senator or assembly person, you can say, hey, I'm calling about Bill 5865, and this is what I think about it. And more importantly, you'll be able to organize with people in your own district around that same piece of legislation and do it collectively. So it's not just yourself, because we know the more voices you have, the more impact and push it has on your representative to actually vote your way. We're adding an election calendar and voting reminders for 2021, which is going to be great. And right now you can currently see what open seats are in your district just from that feature of putting in your address, but we're going to create some coding in the API so that you could also search it, not just in your district, but in any other district, just in case, you know, you want to plan on finding some women to run for office and for some seats across our community. We'll be able to do that. You can be like, hey, you know, what's going on in Rochester, what's coming up, or what's out in Saratoga Springs, wherever, you know, it depends on where you are in that. But if you wanted to do it, you could. This is what I really love. So you can schedule and search meetups, connect on social issues with people in your own district. This is going to central your activism and your civic duties, because I found that because of the high apathy levels that were, this is based up in Central New York, it was a lot of apathy here from 2013 to 2015, and we started to see a slight increase of involvement, but still, you know, it was hard for, I'll speak just for women, it was hard to turn out women in a diverse group of women for our women's marches, for example. So if any of you ever participated in those, you would see that, and I mean in Syracuse, I'm not talking about up in Saratoga Springs, I mean here at home where we are in Onondaga County. It was really hard to pull people together to come out for some of those marches. Well, now, the idea is that if we centralize the activism where the impact will be made directly in our own communities, people will be inspired to do more. A lot of us were stretched, right, to work on issues in communities that didn't really even impact us, but because they had lacked a lot of support in activism in those areas, you know, we would burn out. A lot of us would burn out. And when I say us, I just mean those who sort of like do this work daily on a regular basis. Like this is all that we do. But the idea was to say, hey, you know, if we made it easier for people who live in their district, in their community to be involved, people want things done quick, convenient, concise, they want it efficient, and they want it to make a difference today. Why don't we do ABCD? And so this is it. You can pretty much find people who think like you, feel like you, or have an issue in common like you, right from your mobile phone. So for example, I can't see, hold on. So for example, Tanja and Rashawn, they have education in common, but they don't have gun control or healthcare in common. However, if Tanja wanted to do something around education, she can type it in or put an event in. Rashawn would get an alert that this is happening in his district. And if he chooses to show up, he could. If it was a simple petition, she could push the petition to him, for example, he could sign it to still be a part of it. So people can engage at their own perspective levels, which is great. You can make your profiles public or private. Again, you don't necessarily, there is no commenting, there is no opinions or anything. We create the profile so that we could just see what do people stand for where we live, basically. And if you, like I said, you can make it public or private. So if you want people to see you, they can. If not, you know, that's fine too. The major idea, I think I've said this a few times, I've been repetitive about it, is about increasing equity, making it convenient, concise, and cool engagement, support and partner with active groups and organizations who are doing the work. We want to create more constituent engagement in a central location. we are looking to help community members find their civic tribe and be a civic political empowerment resource to local constituents. So we're nonpartisan. You know, we're just creating the space and a tool, again, like I said, for people to connect. We don't care if you're a Democrat, Republican, independent. It really truly doesn't matter. What I found in doing my work is that most people, most conscious people who are socially and economically conscious, they don't want people to push and influence their personal space. You know, a lot of people see themselves as a good person or good people, and they really want to do the work, but and I get that, and I want to support that. But my hopes are, as we progress through this, we could also see that there's a deeper underlying issue around equity when it comes to not only race, but race and gender. Those are the two biggest ones that social makeups that literally in this particular country, I can only speak here, and even in our community locally here, that tends to struggle with equity, whether it's around pay or whether it's around your career, whether it's around education, access to quality education. And, you know, we just want to focus and start right here, like I said, at home, and give people the opportunity to be a good person and do the work. You know, there are a lot of good people out here. And we all have bias. I have bias as well. And being an ultra Black, excellent woman, that's how I like to define myself. I realized over this last year, to be honest with you, that I kind of been guarded and my narratives have kind of been built for me. And I just think that we're all in a place now where we should create our own narratives. If you're a good person, then be a good person. And we need to shift and change these narratives that had positioned us in the first place to have this constant battle. This is a new wave, it's a new life. Technology is here. We connect very differently than we normally would in the past. In my research, also, I don't know if I shared this with you, I didn't. In my research, I found that the engagement on mobile spaces was pretty much the same regardless of your social and economic background. You spend an average of, majority of people spend an average of 5 to 6 hours on their mobile phones, period. And then on social media with Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and through mobile applications, we spent the same amount of time, but we also we had opinions and ideas and thoughts around a lot of the social and economic policies that were impacting our lives. The difference was, where it shifted was, if you had a 2-year degree or more, you were more than likely to take that engagement from a mobile phone and do something about it. So we were saying, okay, well, we want to make sure that we could kind of support those who engage mostly through their phone, connect with people who do something to take it from the mobile phones and go into the community, or they go to vote, and pretty much not mentor, be a support system, if you will, for those who wouldn't normally do so. And by connecting with people in your own community, you'll be able to kind of do that. You'll be able to find each other and do that. So next year, 2021, we're going to use the app to focus on a voting turnout. I can't wait to see. This is a presidential election. I think the local elections are even better to focus on, but these are the last 3 elections we've had here in Syracuse, in the 15th and the 10th ward. In the 15th ward and the 10th ward is more of your Latino community. The 15th ward is your Black American community. Both are highly concentrated in poverty. And as you can see, in the 10th ward, there were a lot of registered voters, but when it came to actually going to the poll for whether it was the presidential election or the mayoral election or the county elections, the turnout was still low. And the same for the 15th ward. And so for 2021, with this upcoming election, we're looking to use the application by partnering with local organizations and groups that have been formed over this past year, with all of the high profile social justice issues that's been going on since COVID. We're going to connect with some of those groups to help guide and push for more voter registration and voter turnout. But I'm actually interested now too to see what the voter turnout numbers look like for our 2020 elections, because they were kind of low still. They were high, but they were low. And still in these two wards. People, when they benefit, the way they benefit for voting, you guys probably know this already, but who votes matters. And in those two wards, a lot of people don't know that. They've been told very differently. It builds confidence and courage. It develops knowledge, skills, values, and motivation. And it gives everyone a voice to be heard by their leaders and their elected officials. We know that elected officials, I don't want to assume what you guys know, but I'll say I know that from all the work I did, that when it's time for when someone's seat is up, or they're constantly running their campaign, even when they're working, even after they win, the campaign manager is looking at those voter turnout numbers. So we know that, and that's what they go for. So the more you do that, the more attention you'll get, which is so unfortunate, but it's true. And this is just a call to action. Just a quick story with me and Governor Cuomo, because it wasn't all that I wasn't always smiling. He wasn't always smiling back at me either. I started off this journey being told, again, see the same thing with a social justice organization. You know, they found me and they agitated me around my children with education. And I started calling this man all kinds of names, calling him a liar. I didn't even know him, calling him a liar, but this is what they told me, right? That he promised he was going to give a certain amount of money to our schools, and he didn't do that. And this is what we want you to say. So they give you these talking points, right? And then you go on like the news or in the paper and you're saying these things. And that's when you don't really understand. And that was my introduction into this, because they didn't teach civics where I come from. I was born and raised in Mount Vernon, New York. I'm from Yonkers, which we call a hood. And civics was not taught in our schools at all. And I don't even know if I really even paid attention to U.S. history, government, or any of my global studies, to be honest with you. So, and I'm a very honest and direct person. I just want to tell you that, because look at me now. And I say that because if I had not got involved and engaged, I probably wouldn't be here today, or if someone didn't ask me or find me. So even though I was a little raw when I first started, I still had sense enough to try to find my own voice. So when I first started, I was the voice for other people. But as I stayed engaged and I kept being more involved and I started to understand more about the process, I found my own voice. And that's what we need to do. We need to all find our own voice. And if we have our voice, we need to have the best possible way to use it. And this is how we're going to do it. And so my goal is to inspire each and every individual to find their own voice, and not to let the media control what they say, not to let what they read control what they say, but just to allow their own experiences to control what they say, and have the best possible way to do that. And so now where we are, started in 2010, by 2015 is the picture on your left-hand side. He had just gave $500 million to Central New York for revitalization. I was not working for anyone. I was working for myself, and I was a constituent in that picture. So this just goes to show the growth. My end was being a part of an organization, but by this time I was just me, Lekia K Hill, 0524, my last four social digits, taxpayer and involved, and I still showed up to hear what my governor had to say. And then when I spoke to him in this moment, I was talking to him about the policy, the revitalization money, and some ideas and thoughts I had of how he could support some of the initiatives for youth. On the picture on the right, this was at the mansion. I wasn't too happy with him, and I don't know if you could see it. The crinkle in his eye on the left side is a little tighter, because I don't know if he really wanted to smile, because I as this is what we get to do, right? As constituents, I voted for you, you work for me. I'm not really happy about what you're doing right now with the foundation aid. And yes, I'm going to say this to you because you know A, B, C, D, and that's what it's about. But I ended it amicably. I ended it with respect. I wasn't calling him any names, and that's how we get things done. And that's why he still talked to me. If I was out there screaming and yelling and calling him names and saying all these different things, I would have never even been invited to the mansion to talk to him. And then I've seen him more after that. So that's what it's about when we're engaging with our elected officials and our leaders. You know, they do work for us, and sometimes they forget that. And it's not always their fault. You know, we have to take some accountability on how involved and engaged we are, because if we're not present, we're pretty much giving them the space to do whatever they want. And so that's it. And that's the end of that part of my presentation. And then I'm going to end it here. But what I would like to talk to you about is how an app can possibly benefit your business. These are 4 points I found that may fit for someone, because it does provide more value for your customers. It does help you build your brand, and it is a most easiest and efficient way to connect with your customers or your clients, and it also can boost profits, and I can talk to you about that as well through in-app purchases. And so that's my presentation to you today. How you feeling? What are you thinking?
Can you put that slide back up for a moment? I was trying
sure.
to write it down.
Oh,
And will
sorry.
you be able to talk a little bit, touch on each one of those? Or do you want to open this, you know what I mean? Or do you want, from your perspective, how have you found that these have benefited what you're doing? Yeah.
Yep, so I also have another app. It's called, it's available on your, if you have an Android. I'm still trying to get it onto the iPhone, the Apple Store. The Apple is a little more strict than Google Play is, as far as getting applications on their platforms. But it's called the 3E's Power Parties app, and it's a motivational app that sends motivational and inspirational messages daily to people. You can schedule journal reminders in it, and this is good for the coaches. I was going to tell the coaches about this. You can schedule journal reminders in it, and also you can track your goals in the application, and I offer that to my customers. So for the first one, I would say, well, one, it provides value to my customers, because my customers for the Powerful Voices app are nonprofit organizations, and my end users are also my customers as well. I just don't like calling them that, but I need them to use it, and the value is really in it for them more than it is my the nonprofit organizations and the prospective candidates that may be running for office and want to pretty much survey my end users. But through the 3E's Power Parties app, this has been really great for after-hour coaching sessions. I have them create an account on my website, which you can also sort of like a Facebook. They create a profile, and you can upload like your business, some of the things that you're, sort of like a LinkedIn, but it's my own personal like LinkedIn, and you can find other people that are like-minded like you there. So it's web-based, so it's very inexpensive. The Powerful Voices app is, I don't even want to talk about it right now, but if you have a website, it's not really hard to change your website into an application. You can do that. It's fairly affordable. I don't want to like think of how people money is, but I can give you a contact of someone who loves doing this and loves helping other women in their business, and she works with the prices to create something like that. It builds a stronger brand, because through my app, the Power Parties app, for example, I've been able to recruit new clients for my coaching. Because I do so much, each year I have up to 10 people that I work with. This year, because of COVID and just my mental health, I haven't really worked with anyone. I just have two people that I've been with for the last 3 years. I've been working with these two ladies over the last 3 years. And to be honest with you, for those who are coaches on here, you know that if your clients are really happy with the turnout and you can really measure their growth and they can measure their growth and see where they started, and they come back and attribute part of that to you, and depending on how you engage with your customers and what you offer them, they'll be loyal to you forever, and they'll give you referrals, and they're just forever just, you know, whatever you're doing, they're with you 100% of the way. So if you write a book, they're going to buy the book, and then they're going to tell 1,000 other people to buy the book, you know, that kind of thing. Having an app connects, helps you connect better with your customers. Well, again, I told you that, you know, people spend 5 to 6 hours on their mobile devices. This also depends on who your target market group is though as well. If you have millennials to Gen Xers and some baby boomers, depending on how they, depending on what, you know, they do for a living, and if, you know, technology's in their space and they have a phone, more than likely they're spending that much time on their phone. The average person has about 96 apps. They've downloaded about 96 apps a year on their mobile devices. They use up to 25, and 96% of that app use is with 3 apps. So whatever 3, if you think about it now, if you have a phone and you use an app, there's probably about up to 3 that you use every single day. And your goal is to get one of your apps to be that app that your customer uses every single day, if they have to. But it's so easy and it's so efficient, and that's what we want. You know, we have a very short technology has its pros and its cons, right? In one way, it kind of like dehumanizes us, right? Because we don't really connect with each other. Look at us, we're on Zoom right now. We're on Zoom because of COVID, but if you really think about it, with FaceTime on your phone and texting, you really didn't see, you know, you're texting your kids now. You're not even calling. You're like, hi, mom. Hey, son. You know, you're not really interacting in person anymore, regardless whether COVID was here or not. So it kind of disconnects us in that way. But the pro to it is that, hey, you know, you can still connect. And and for a business, that's what you want, because that's what's in and that's what people are using and what they're doing. To go to a website, just think about it, you have to type in the URL. Sometimes somebody will email you, and you can, if they have the link in it, you could just tap it, that's great. But people they love sensory, they love to press, they love to touch, they love to swipe now. That's what's in and that's what we're doing. So they want to look for it and they want to tap it and they want it to open up, right? And then they want to be able to scroll and just touch and go. If you think about some of the major companies now, like Amazon, for example, you know, it's to order, you create an account. Once you create an account, you go in, you can just tap a button now and purchase what you need. Same thing with Uber Eats, how we purchase our fast food. So why not us? Why not you? If it makes sense. It might not make sense for you for what you're doing, but more than likely it will, because everyone has an app. Everyone. I heard someone on here today mention the word project management, for example. I'm in construction. We have obviously project managers, and we use an app. It's called Procore, you know, so it's, and now we're working on a feature and adding some things where we could tell our subs to download the Procore app. Usually they sign in, download the Procore app, and then we're thinking about creating our own app so that we can kind of monitor our MWBE contractors, and they're measuring their growth just for our benefit to help our company. So, you know, I think it's really something that you should at least consider. I'm open and available. You know, I'm not charging, I wouldn't charge you at all for anything. It's just for a deeper consultation on what makes sense. I don't know everything, but I have an amazing network and I love to share. So if I don't know, I can connect you with a person who does. Right now, I'm in a tech incubator so that I can be more educated and understand and learn more about not just apps, but tech period, the tech space period, what's out there. We have people like the director of Salesforce for minority tech in the Salesforce department. He was talking to us, and I was taking notes, and one of the things I wrote down was like what I just said to you. If you don't have some sort of tech device or tech space for any of your customers, you could forget about it, because that's where we are in this day and age. And that's also the mentality of people. That's what we're used to. You know, they like it. This is what they want to do. So the boosting profits, if you have someone on here sells jewelry, oh my gosh, I wrote it down because I want to talk to her. Wow, just imagine how easy it would be to not, I mean, yes, you could use Instagram, you could use Facebook and these things to create your group or your store and upload pictures and photos of your jewelry and people, but then think about the process they have to go through, you know, to order their pieces. But it's also really cool to say, hey, you know, I have an app for that, and you'll be able to send your pieces to your regular clients, and then also they would be able to share and send to their friends. Again, it's more so about process and convenience and efficiency. And you can put your products in, people can purchase from your app. I mean, you know, the plugins you can connect with, like a PayPal. Through your app, you can connect to all these other resources, Eventbrite that's out there, and literally plug them into your app. And it's the least expensive way because they've already done the work for you. It's just getting a tech person, a developer, to create it, to make it look like it's all under you and it's yours. But there are ways around it.
Oh, you're impressive, my friend.
Thank
Wow.
you.
That's a lot of info, but so good. I wanted to just, before we open it to questions, I just wanted to ask Laura, do you do anything like that? I know you do graphic design, but do you have expertise in designing apps?
I do not. So yeah, that kind of came around after I stopped learning more about developing websites.
I just wondered because I knew that, you know, you had some experience in this, so I just thought while you were on the phone, I would ask you that question.
Yeah, no, I mean, my question for Lekia is, you know, aside from your friend who you could refer us to, and for your actual app that you created for Powerful Voices, like, how did you find, you know I can go on Fiverr and look for any number of app developers today, but you always hear the same nightmare stories about websites that I always heard. You hire a website developer, you pay them money, you never hear from them again.
Yeah.
Or they never finish the job. I hear that about apps too.
Oh, well, I use Amy Wyatt from Tech Geekery. I met her back in 2014, and we've built sort of a relationship there. To me, it's all about relationship building, but if I wasn't networking, I wouldn't have met her. I don't believe in like stretching ourselves in so many different places and spaces. I'm a firm believer in divine connections. That's how I operate in my life. And so I don't think that, you know, anything that happens in our lives is just for no reason. So I think it might start just from my mental and how I look at things. And I know there's terms for all of this that I'm talking about. I've just, since I was a kid, just lived this way, you know, being a life enthusiast and just automatically connected with people. And if I get a good vibe, I kind of assess whether that person's supposed to be in my life or not. And I started thinking about like where, how, why, that kind of thing. Unless it's romantic relationships, I'm really bad. I wish I had that skill in that area, but I don't, and it's okay.
I'm with you on that one. I appreciate our divine connection.
We're gonna work on that. But outside of that, everything else is pretty good, okay? And I'm just being honest. And especially when it comes to business, like if you have a vision, like this app is not an idea. This is a vision. Like this is something that God gave me, you know? So it's very different than any other venture I've ever set out to do. It's the most consistent venture in my life. I mean, we're talking 4 years now. I've been seeding this thing with my own money, my savings when I was poor. When I started getting money, I used my kids' money. I didn't care. I told them I'd give it back to them to build certain things because that's how much I believed in this vision. I knew it was something that was supposed to be, right? That's number one. And then there were choices, like you were saying, hey, how do you find, because there's Fiverr, and then there's SU, and there's always somebody telling you who you should talk to and who's the person, right? So I would engage, you know, if my spirit said follow through with that and see what it is. But once I met her, I knew she was I knew I needed her. I didn't know why for tech, but I just did. And then when that happened, I called her and I said, hey, I need an app. You know, and when I talked to her about it, and most people in my life too, they're very authentic and genuine people, and they're servants, right? So when they hear, regardless of if they have an expertise in something, I know you got to run your business and stuff, but they'll work with you if it's something that they also, if they're bought into it and they believe in your vision with you, and they could see it, they'll do whatever they can to make sure it happens for you. And that's what our relationship has been like. Because I went to the tech garden and I quit my job at Interfaith Works, right? That's how much I believed in this thing. I was like, oh, I need to focus on this 100% of the time and do some research. And I went to the tech garden and I pitched to Rick Clonin, you know, this app idea. At that time, it was just an idea. He took me through these 12 steps. And he was like, wow, you know, I don't know much about politics, but that sounds like something. I said, yeah, I want to dig into it and I need a space. And he donated a year of free membership for me there. And then when I was in this space, you got to take advantage of your opportunities, you know? So when people were coming in and I'm listening, I'm not afraid to walk up to somebody and introduce myself. It's just, I don't know, you just have to do that. But then you meet somebody like me, Laura, and you can say, hey, I need someone to develop an app for me. Or I want to learn more. And I can introduce you to someone like Amy. And if Amy's not a good fit, because I've been doing this for so long, I have 3 other people that I can introduce you to that I know wouldn't disappoint, and you would get, if they can do it, they'll be honest with you. Just put it like that. If it's something they can do or you need to do, they're going to advise you the right way. So I took the time to find these people over the years, and I'm just going to share them with others because that's what God has called me to do. So
Lekia, is there a way for you to email me at least, or because I don't know if you have time to put in the chat, but email me at least Amy's information or any of the females that you have that do the app development, just so I can share it with the group?
Yep. 2 of them are men, and that should be okay though, right? To develop the app. Come on, Tracy.
There's got to be a female. Well, if you list them in priority order. I know, okay. This is where my diversity is.
I know. It's so, but listen, this is why it's another problem. Did you know that there's so much discrimination in tech space for women, period? It's ridiculous. It's so hard to find female app developers. You know, it's another area where we struggle of finding female app developers.
Well, you can share.
But I'll share Amy's with you. Okay. I'll share Amy's in.
Thank you.
You were just recognized for something I saw on Instagram yesterday.
Yeah, that would be great, because I don't know how many people are
she's the only person. I'm just going to tell everybody to go to her because she does the same thing as I do. If she can't do it, she'll find somebody who can.
Okay. That would
so
be
she's
great.
She's the best place to start.
Okay. Thank you.
Hey, Tracy.
Yes, Kim.
It's just been like bells and whistles in my head. We need to introduce her to Sharon and crew.
I actually did introduce her to Sharon.
Oh, yes.
I just talked to Sharon a couple days ago, so I just want to make sure you're connected because you guys can partnership like amazingly.
Yeah.
Oh, we do have a partnership. That's what I was going to tell you, Tracy, because she's building a virtual museum. We're using my app as a community space. Because you remember I was telling you how you can create profiles. Well, you can create communities. Also, we're going to have the ability to create communities for organizations and companies and businesses as well. As long as it's related to civics and politics, it only makes sense if it does that. But this is also going to be a way for you to kind of keep up and keep track of your people that you've recruited into the space through your initiatives. So, but yeah, I meant to, so she and I both had intended to tell you, we were just waiting until we got some responses from the grant so we can give you good news on a larger scale. But yeah,
this is what
Sharon
I love.
Is amazing.
Connecting women. Sharon has Crew TV. Sharon has done is based in New York City, and helps women that are interested in running for office. You can go through her program, Democratic Women. And so I knew when I first met Lekia that her and Sharon would absolutely needed to meet to be able to collaborate in some way. So thank you.
But if you look at that, so look at this right now. right? When I talked about divine connections and being very intentional about how we move. So for the last 2.5 years of my life, 3 years actually, of my life have been very intentional about how I spent my time in the spaces I put myself in, because I was everywhere. Every event, this and that, I burned myself out. Hello, heart condition. And I said, no, I need to settle down. I need to really figure this out, right? So I've been very intentional about where I put myself in spaces. It's like, do I need to be here? I do. What's going to happen? We're going to see what unfolds. And I always meet someone, right, that takes me to the next level or connects me with someone else. So look how, I mean, I've told so many women that run empowerment organizations and they're coaches and they do this and they can do that over the years about my app and what it is I wanted to do in my business. And I face so much bias in that, not just by Black and brown people, because being biased is not about color, that's not about race, right? I face much bias around that. Then I met Laura. And then Laura introduced me to you. Then you introduced me to Sharon. And out of that, I am now on a $10 million grant. Like, this is where it's like, you know, how divine connections unfold and they're productive and they're positive. My life has been so much simpler. I haven't been this happy in I don't know how long. Even when I get bad news, I react a different way because I'm stable. I was the most, guys, I was so unstable. You have no idea. I was all over the place because I have ADHD, you know, but I've been able to manage my life now because I have a very clear, concise idea of who I am, what I want to do, and what my purpose in life is. And now that I have all of that, I mean, it's speaking with more confidence, you know. 2 years ago, I wouldn't even be able to speak to you guys this way.
Well, it's an awesome testament, and that's so inspirational for all of us, no matter whether we develop an app or not. I mean, that's, you know what I mean, is sometimes we're on the path to where we want to be or where we think we should go, and, you know, and then we get kind of thrown off. And so always, you know, I truly believe in this, that being connected, I think women supporting women is such an powerful and impactful way to live life and to also advance ourselves and our businesses. And I'm so glad that you live by spirit and those connections and doing something, because we can be on this phone call and we might hear something that somebody said, but do we pick up the phone? Do we take action? And so that's what I'm always trying and hoping to encourage all of you to do. And I think it was Barb, who was it from? Was it Barb and Jackie that connected at one point after? No, it's sort of like finding the, oh gosh, forget it. I'm not going to try to describe what I'm trying to do, but there were two of you on a call that connected afterwards. And that is always the hope for this. But I'll stop talking about that for a moment. Who else has app questions? Because we have probably about, 10 minutes or so if anybody has more questions. Jody, go ahead.
How do you get people to download your app?
Right. So you need a really good comprehensive marketing plan. But when you're first starting out, if like you don't have a budget for it, you start with who you know, not family, because family and friends are usually the last people to share your stuff and tell people about it most of the time. But you start with your clients. You start with networking spaces like this, like Women Ties, so people like Tracy, and asking her to push it out. You book spaces, like right now, because of COVID and with Zoom, people are having so many meetings, like empowerment meetings and convenings with other women, finding out where those spaces are and asking the people that are the organizers of that, if they mind, if they gave you 10 minutes or 5 minutes to pretty much talk about your app. You got to just start talking about it. That's where I am now in that phase, because I don't have a marketing budget. So I'm here with Tracy. I just did Leadership Greater Syracuse. I'm running it like a campaign pretty much. You got to run your stuff like a campaign. You go to the church and say, hey, can I get the podium for 10 minutes, right? It's just talk about it. That's the best way to start. And then having that real serious conversation with that one friend or person that you expected to be on your side and say, I need you to share this. I need you to, don't be afraid to ask for help and to ask people to share your stuff. You know, if you're on social media, you could tag 1,000 people, and sometimes people don't even read through their notifications because they have so many on there. And a lot of people believe, oh, well, I shared it, and they think that everyone saw it. And a lot of times that's not the case, unless now, because of the way Facebook has its algorithms, if you don't boost your posts, forget about it, right? It's just it's a catch-22. You don't know if somebody's really going to see it. But I would suggest when you first have it to just really start talking about it. If you're a part of groups like this already, talking to the organizer and saying, hey, can I get, 5 minutes or 10 minutes to talk about my app? In addition to that, you create the content for people to share for you. Don't ask someone else to do it. Like, create some content for not only your social media sites, but make it easier for people to tell people about it for you. If you want someone to write an email and send an email out for you about your stuff or your application, draft the email like you would if for the president of your company, if you were their executive assistant, and pretty much tell them what you want them to say and put some talking points and then have them personalize it. I went from, and I think it's because of this electoral season, and then also with COVID, I went from 96 downloads to 367 from March to July. They were talking to the community foundation. We needed to know how many more downloads from then to put in the life needs assessment, and it had increased from 367 to I think it was like around 5 something. I'm not sure of the exact number, but I know it by a couple of hundred. So that one, it was because also, because timing is everything, and this is a time for it, and I just happen to have something that everybody needs when they needed it. And now the state wants to talk to me. They weren't trying to talk to me for the first 3 years. But now, now they want to talk, right? And that's what it is too. Don't give up on don't give up on your vision, your business, or your idea. At some point in time, it's going to blow up. At some point in time, so many people are going to need it and want it. You just have to be patient, but don't stop talking about it. Don't stop working on it. Don't stop using it, because that's what leads you to that moment of when it blows up. And right now, I'm in the midst of the transition with my app. And I just believe in it so much that I know by 2021, I'm going to have the 40 grand I need so it could be up and running. And I just know that everybody's going to be talking about it. I'm like, oh, I saw that lady doing a present. I was actually in a presentation with her on women ties. Next year, this is what I'm putting out there, out in the atmosphere. I speak it every single day, because I don't have capital. Getting capital for in the tech space, fundraising is so hard for women, period. But then if you're a Black woman on top of that, a Black or Latino woman, wow.
How about Melinda Gates? Have you, because I thought she was supporting.
I did a grant with the Melinda Gates Foundation, so I'm waiting for that. Yes, yeah, that's my girl. I love her. Yeah. I've been putting out there, you're my friend, you're my friend, my friend.
Awesome. Well, we have a few more minutes. Any other questions from anybody? Go ahead, Jackie.
Well, I have so many things I want to discuss with you, but I wanted to ask you, are you familiar with the Onondaga Earth Corps?
Yes, I do know Reagan, I do, yes. Very familiar.
Because I don't know if you've done any work with them. My son is the executive director.
I know that's what I'm talking about. I love him.
Oh, because I was
sorry, I got excited. Go ahead.
I was thinking how valuable that would be, but I'm also, in terms of this whole issue of reaching children and parents who are really the target market of what you're talking about in terms of apps. I'd just love to get more ideas from you about connecting with people, and also connecting with people of color, parents. And so anyway, I just wanted to share that and know if you had any thoughts.
Yeah, so the Syracuse City School District, Patty Clark at the Syracuse City School District and I have talked about this app a while back. And I have to revisit the conversation with her again now, since I have more features to it. I created a whole civic and political participation program. So it's a 6-week program, and I want the idea for 2021 to prepare for the 2021 election is to pretty much get into the room with the students via Zoom and sign students up for the civic and political participation program that I developed. And I partner with Black Men United and Fearless Queens also on this venture, because those are the two organizations that have the greatest connection to those youth in the district that we're talking about. Their parents, they have relationships with their parents.
I have to talk. Can you hear me or not?
It's very,
I know, I just did something that screwed it up, so keep
That's better.
talking. Keep talking amongst yourselves.
You're on
Anybody
mute.
else with a question, if you can hear me?
Jackie was talking, she's on mute.
Oh. What?
I can't hear you.
No.
You gotta unmute.
Okay, let's, all right, here down here. Oh my God. Can anybody hear me? Yes, you can hear me? Oh, okay. Holy smokes. Okay, who's got another burning question before I blow up? It gets dark, so I was trying to make it lighter, and I screwed everything up. Any other
I
questions?
have a question. So,
Okay.
Lekia, at this
Yes.
point, what's next, and how do the people on this call help you?
Oh, that's a great question. Thank you so much. Well, there's
Speak
what's
up because
next?
the sound got really quiet, so I don't know what happened.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Can you guys hear me? Okay, so next now is the Life Needs Assessment. What you can do is download the Powerful Voices app from your mobile devices and take the Life Needs Assessment. The Life Needs Assessment is not only for disadvantaged communities, it's to help get an idea of what needs are, whether you have needs or not. It just really help us get a clear picture of what's out there. Take the Life Needs Assessment and then share it and ask others to also take it. The issues survey is in there as well. You might want to take them at 2 different times because the Life Needs Assessment has 20 questions on it. The issues one is really short and sweet. That's one. Share, tell other people about the app and just stay connected with us. We're adding a push notification to it. So if you have the app on your phone, soon I'll be able to send you a push notification where it shows up on the top of your phone, and you'll start to get messages about how to stay connected with us. And the next thing is I have a GoFundMe. If you wanted to support my GoFundMe, you can. I'll ask Tracy to send the link out for that, but also share it with your family and friends. It's clear. I made sure that I put in bullet points what the money would be going to, so that people can see. My website is www.powerfulvoicesapp.com, www.powerfulvoicesapp.com. You can check out more information there. And last but not least, going to Jackie's point, because she just said that her son, his name is Greg, right?
right.
Yeah.
Yes.
So her son, Greg, works for Onondaga Earth Corps. So if you have any relationships and resources or people out in the city that this might be beneficial to, that work with families or youth that could take the Life Needs Assessment, please let them know and make the connection with me, because that's what I'm focused on the most right now, is getting that Life Needs Assessment done, and then also getting these civic and political participation forums out.
Lekia, even though you're not in Ithaca, I'm looking at Kelly White, because Ithaca is such an active, I feel like it's a very activism focused city. Can she help at all, or?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And not specifically, but I mean Ithaca, she probably has connections.
Yeah, the app is for Central New York, so I'd love to break into another space
not just
with the
Syracuse.
application. Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, great. All right, well, can we all give a round of applause to Lekia for her great information? That was fantastic.
Thank you.
So helpful. I feel a part of my brain that is not ever used was being used today. So I will take a file of this, the chat box, so we can share that. And then also the video is being recorded, so I'll be sending that out. But I wanted to have just Barb, since she's on the phone, Jody sponsoring it. Our next event is next Wednesday at noon. Simple self-care to sustain you in these times, presented by Barb, sponsored by Jody. Yeah, so I'm gonna have them speak in 1 second. We also have a member only Zoom on 12/2, at 12. So you can promote books or any holiday services or products, along with 2021 services anybody can utilize. And then on 12/8, we just booked Becoming a Thought Leader and Learn to Lead with Barb Stone. And she's also going to be presenting part of a program that National Female Leader Kat Cole presented. And so that's on 12/8. It'll be up on our website probably tomorrow. So Barb, do you want to just speak for a few minutes about what you'll be covering in the Simple Self-Care?
Sure. I'm just laughing because the title, I think, is more complicated than the workshop. But that's okay. If you can get through that and enroll, then you'll be there. But first of all, Lekia, just thank you so much. Oh my gosh, I'm like energized and inspired, and I want to tie into your call out for self-care, because your story makes it so clear why I now know that this is the foundation of everything else. I used to say it, I believe it is. And, you know, even when I asked, I don't know if can I say this, Tracy?
Yes.
Your first response to my request or invitation to offer this?
Oh, yes, you can.
Okay. You know, her response was, I have typically kept these presentations to practical business matters, but with the election and with COVID and everything, I think this is relevant right now. And my response is yes, and I really think that this is the foundation of everything else. So anything that you want to create in the world, any relationship you want to have, any productivity you want to have, if your self-care is not there, and this goes beyond manis and petties and massages, like this is deep self-care. Cultivating a new relationship with yourself is how I look at it, a loving relationship. So what we're going to do next week, we're going to bust some myths around self-care, because I think we'll start there. And honestly, I don't often get women entrepreneurs coming to my workshops. And I think there is that idea that, well, this isn't productive time and this is fluff. And I'm just going to say, I hear women saying the stress is killing me. And you look at Lekia, you know Ariana Huffington's story. It's not a lie. Like, it really can kill you. So it's worth taking the time to figure out how to really honor yourself, take care of yourself, and start with you, so that everything you do in the world has that vitality, so that you're not working in an unsustainable way, so that you actually can create and produce and serve. And if you don't take care of you, you can't serve in the ways that you're here meant to serve. You can't fulfill this divine purpose that you have. So this is my purpose. This is my passion, to help women just make themselves a priority and not feel bad about it, not feel guilty, not feel like it's fluff. So we're going to, we'll dive into what self-care is, and I'm going to take people through some exercises to personalize it so they can leave with strategy and some ideas and tools that they're going to bring into their lives. Is that enough?
Yes, it is. It's perfect. Jody, I know you're sponsoring it. Is there, do you want to just mention why you're sponsoring the program, why it made sense to sponsor it?
Oh, because I 100%, can you all hear me?
Yes.
Okay, for some reason I'm not hearing myself through it like I usually do. It feeds exactly into what my business does. Holy Education is all about taking care of our body, mind, and spirit. And I always like to point out, look at what the airlines do. Do they tell you to put the mask on when it falls to somebody else first? No, they tell you to put it on yourself first, because you can't take care of anybody else unless you are being taken care of. And I'm so in 100% agreement with what Barb says. And I just feel like our missions are so intertwined that it was really important to me to sponsor.
Well, thank you so very much. So I'm looking forward to having hopefully all of us back next Wednesday, same time, 12 o'clock. Just remember as you go forward with holiday purchasing, I know some of us may have not as much money, or, you know, we've got to be more selective about where we're going to buy our gifts for the holidays. Please remember to buy from women entrepreneurs first and foremost. You know, by us putting money in their hands or their pocketbooks or their Venmo or their PayPal accounts, you know, our money is really being used very wisely to support other women, especially during COVID, which has hit and impacted women-owned businesses more than others. So just remember that. You come to the directory, call me if you need to connect with, you're looking for something specific, a book. We have a lot of authors. We have a lot of people that have products. Just try to be very mindful and share that message with as many people as you know. So I am going to be good, and we have 2 minutes to go. So I am just going to end it by asking you to give one more round of applause to Lekia for her presentation and for coming back and for being healthy and for educating us. And I hope you'll reach out to her if you're interested in the app, and then she'll let me know also the name of the woman, Amy, I think it is, that does apps. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. Let me know how I can ever help you, and make sure that you support and buy from women first and foremost. Oh, can't see. All right, have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank
I was
you.
trying to show you, I downloaded the app, but you can't.
I did too.
Oh, so you can
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful day.
Thanks.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great one.
Bye.
Bye.
I'll stay on board to the end.